Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Black excellence, black beauty, and black pride. Black power from all diasporas coincide. Progressive truth and regression eventually collide. May the beauty of the people no longer be set aside. May the black queen's grace continually mesmerize the millions who couldn't see it when looking into her eyes. And the black man's plight no longer be the disguise. Oppression, emasculation, they wanna castricize him. Take him away from the black queen, put him inside prison for slave labor, he institutionalized. Wondering on the outside, is she willing to ride? Is she willing to ride? Is she willing to fight for the love, even despite the fact that he doing time? Love that conquers all will never fade with time. If she don't choose the love that appreciates every life, his flame might get dim and he may eventually.
And we are live. What's up, Shekinah Young in the building.
Greetings, how are you?
You know, I am fabulous. So today, we have a very interesting topic today.
We do. We are having a family meeting.
Deep stuff, right?
We are.
We're about to, like, literally, like, this is like that conversation that's avoided at the Thanksgiving Day table.
Which is why we are going to be intentional about having it today.
Exactly, because we are going to be intentional about creating a what?
An inclusive environment.
And a safe space right here on the Urban Impact Show.
Yes.
So, there has been a ton of stuff happening in the news, everybody. We see D. Wade is in the news with his daughter.
Zaya?
Yeah, with his daughter.
Yeah.
Who was once a boy, but now wants to be referred to as a girl, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think I'm the one who's probably going to learn the most in this conversation that we get ready to have. But for you, our listeners and our viewers, I want to be clear on this. This isn't a show pushing one agenda or the other.
Preach.
This is a conversation that is needed in our community.
Yes.
No matter which side of this coin you stand on. Right? This is a conversation that is needed, and it can no longer be avoided.
Right.
Like, you know. And
it shouldn't be avoided. And I think an important thing to mention is we want to be very sensitive to this topic. We understand that this is real. Like, there are suicide attempts because of this topic. Mm-hmm. There are people, they're creating conflicts within families and amongst our family as a black community because of this topic. And I believe that because we aren't addressing these things or talking about them, that we aren't learning from one another, and we just want to make sure that we have a family conversation. You know how sometimes you just need to have a family meeting? We having a family meeting today, y'all. Yeah.
And look, some of you all may not be happy with some of the stuff that is said.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, some of the stuff that is said, you may not like, you may not agree with, but what we're asking for is for respect.
Yes.
We're asking for intellectual debates and conversations, and we're asking for people to have an open mind. We're not asking you to take a side. Mm-hmm. I want to be clear here. We're not asking you to take a side on this show, but what we are asking you to do is listen.
Yeah.
The whole goal.
And we want to provoke conversation.
Exactly.
Amongst whatever your groups are, or just thought.
Yeah, healthy conversations though, right?
I think the sexiest thing somebody can do for you is to provoke you to think a thought that you didn't previously have.
Shekinah, I think some dudes jumping on here. Hey, Shekinah, have you thought about?
Oh my goodness. So I think that's real, right? And we just want to make sure we're setting that stage for you so you understand what we're doing, what our goal is, what our intent is. At the end of the day, we're all about improving the urban community.
Correct.
And we're all about how are we impacting the urban community.
Correct.
And if we are not proponents of violence happening to any members of that community, and if there are topics that we need to address to make sure that that is minimized and annihilated, then that's what we're going to do. So today we're going to talk about LGBTQ issues and the black community, and we have a couple of rules.
Yes, lay them out.
Yes. So our guests are going to come and they're going to tell us which pronouns they would prefer that we use. We are, just people that are advocates of the community, just like you, and we want to be respectful of that. We may make mistakes, and we are open to that. Correction by our guests of us referring to them as the pronouns that they would appreciate. And so we're going to try, and we hope you try. And you just understand that you're on a learning journey with us, right? We don't know, even when it comes to D. Wade and his daughter and Zaya, and we don't know what to say or when to say. We understand. Because we don't even know. We be trying.
Yeah, because I keep calling it his son, and so somebody's like, Rob, no. And they say, Rob, he wants to be referred to as, or he wants to identify as. And I'm like, it's a little boy. Like, he's a boy. Right?
And we're going to talk all about that today.
And
the goal
that's
is
what
for
I'm looking forward to.
Everybody to learn. Rob's mentioned earlier he's the one that has the most to learn. I respectfully disagree with that. I think we all have something to learn, and we would not be hitting our goals if we all weren't learning from each other and provoking healthy conversation in the community. So we're ready to get this party started.
Shekinah is going to be the one to keep us on track here today. So as always, I am one of your hosts, Rob Johnson.
I'm your favorite host, Shekinah Young.
And we'll be right back with our first guest, Miss Anna. We gonna get it poppin'.
Urban Impact Show. You are watching the Urban Impact Show, and today we are talking about LGBTQ issues in the Black community. We have a couple of rules. We understand this is a sensitive topic. We want to be respectful, create an environment of dialogue where both parties or both opinions can feel respected, and we can have stimulating thought and conversation that proceeds even after the show. Our rules are English is my first language. Our rules are notifying pronouns that everyone would like to use, and we will try our best to use those throughout the show. We will be respectful of each other talking and try not to interrupt. Rob and I have been granted some special to do that if necessary, and then listen with positive intent. If we need to add additional rules or guidelines or guardrails or anything like that, we will do that. But I'm one of your hosts, Shekinah Young, and
I am Rob Johnson. Also, please don't hesitate to comment, like, share. We want to help spread the word. We have our first guest in the studio with us. She does her own podcast. So shouts out to them. Gassed Up TV.
Yes, Gassed Up TV, all caps, no spaces.
So we're welcoming her now. This is a whole different audience.
A whole different audience.
A whole different feel for what she's doing. But this is Miss Anna, and we're excited to have you. Thank you for agreeing.
Welcome to the show, Anna.
Listen, I know it can be nerve-wracking when you give your opinion, especially on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or something like that, because nowadays we live in this culture where if you disagree with me, I now want to basically cut your head off, make you lose your
cancel
job.
culture.
Right. And to me that I think that's absolutely absurd. But I'm so glad that you're like, come on, let's have the conversation.
Right.
Let's open it up and let's dialogue, because there may be some other people who wanna be more open, but they're fearful of the backlash of whatever could take place. And so the reason we're having this conversation is to open those floodgates, is to make people a little bit more comfortable with saying, hey, look, I don't understand this, or hey, look, I disagree with this, right? And so I think that's where we are. Shekinah, you want to throw our first question out?
Yes. Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself. You can introduce yourself and what has helped informed your opinion on today's topic of the LGBTQ community and the Black community.
Okay, well, I'm Anna Bay. So I'm 32. I am a woman also with the podcast. We do a comedian podcast. I am in the process of trying to start doing my own motivational speaking, going back into the community, talking to young teenage girls and trying to redirect them. Not judge, but redirect. So I think this is a really important topic because we don't accept each other. You know what I mean? We're quick to judge and we don't actually listen to one another. So I think this will be an actual this will be an actual good topic. By the way, what's informed me a lot is that, okay, so like this is my first time coming out saying this. So my daughter comes home from school, and they're about to have the talk. And so we're having the whole conversation, and she has friends that are, she comes home, well, yeah, mom, so-and-so's pansexual. And I'm like, well, what is, what's that? But here it is, my kid's in 6th grade, and, I don't know what that is, but she knows what that is. So she's informing me even more, every day. But here it is, comes Monday, they're going to have a talk. And, that's...
Who's going to have the talk?
The school. When they do the talk.
About, like, your body is changing.
Wait, so that's not left to the parents anymore?
No, unless they send permission slips home in case you want to pull them out.
Wait, what's included in this talk?
They're going to be talking about sex, talking about HIV, talking about sexual transmitted diseases as well. And then the boys, I think they're going to be actually teaching them how to, banana. Yeah.
I was like teaching them how to. Okay, I'm sorry. Focus.
But so we're having it, and she's like, "Mom, I'm not ready." She's just joking with me, and I'm like, "Well, if you're not ready, then you're not ready."
Right.
And she's like, "That's fine." Most of my friends, they're either bi or gay, and I'm just like, so you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, well, how would they know? That's my thing. Like, how would you know at a young age? I'm into women as well. I identify as a bisexual, and I didn't like women until I experienced with them. So I didn't grow up like, ooh la la. You know what I mean? What I mean? So it's a little different for me. So like I said, I'm trying to understand this because my daughter she's in that verge where she's hanging around these group of kids. Yeah. And they're her friends. They're genuine. They're genuine there. But now she's at that point where she doesn't know where she identifies now. Whether she should like boys, whether she should like girls.
And how old is your daughter?
She is 12 years old.
12, okay. 12-year-old child. And then, to be clear, I know we had some rules in the beginning. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
She, her, hers.
Like, that's, you're saying what you would prefer people to refer to you as when in conversation. What are your pronouns, Anna?
I really don't have any, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I'm human. I believe that we're all, you know what I'm saying? Right. Just respect me, and I will respect you. Okay. So, yeah, I really don't prefer. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I...
Robert? Oh, Lord. Okay. Thank you. Do you want to go on to the second question about the D-Wade?
So, let me ask you this. Your daughter comes home.
Right.
And now she's trying to figure this out. D-Wade comes out and says that his son now wants to be identified as a woman. We saw Lil Boosie come out, and Lil Boosie said, don't cut us, off. And, because by the time he turns 18, something could be different, right? So by the time she turns 18, something could be different. Because now they want to now his son wants to identify as a female. You have those in the community who are like, listen, this isn't necessarily like a sexuality thing, but this is like this guy is 12 or this child is 12. How do you parent that in a situation where your child is coming to you? And how do you feel about it? Like, what's your take on it?
I wanted to say one thing real quick. For clarity's sake, I believe our friend Lil Boosie may have been misinformed. There had not been any surgeries that had taken place with Zaya, however I pronounce that. Tell me in the comments if you know.
Zaya.
Oh, you know they will.
Zaya?
Zaya.
You know they will.
We all over the place, right? There had not been any surgeries. There had not been any plan for surgeries. Right. I have been informed that in order for a surgery to take place, there are mental evaluations that do happen. So I think that's one lesson that we can learn. An opinion and a platform without information is dangerous.
Very.
And so we all need to make sure that we are clearly informed about what is actually happening, what is the landscape, and like what are rules around those things. So when the comment was made about changing genitalia, that was not a fact. So that's not a fact-based comment.
Right. Somebody just threw that in there. Fake news.
Yeah. So what's your take on it?
Yeah.
I think that besides the whole changing of the genital area, I mean, I think that as parents, we kind of have to just sit down and accept it and actually take in, because the last thing we want to do is push our children away and make them rebellious, not talk to us. You know what I mean? We've all been there. You know, our parents tell us no, and we go and do it anyway. So, I mean, I feel like, I think that would be, I think it's acceptable. But for him to cut his private part off, I think that's not cool. What if it puts pressure on him too in the media, I want to say now. So what if he just one day wakes up and he's 14 and he likes girls. So now he feels like, I can't go back, or I can't come out and say I'm bi now, or I can't say that I like women now because everybody knows that I'm Zaya. You know what I mean? And I'm identifying as a woman and I like men. So,
do you agree with the way D. Wade handled it?
I don't think he should have did that. I think that's something they should have done behind closed doors. Like, you know, the parade, or when they did the run and all that, like, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? That's support. But I feel like coming out and making it an issue for America and social media, like, I think that's putting everybody opinion inside y'all's home. So, you know, and kids are on the internet more than anything nowadays. So I just think it's putting more pressure on him.
So you're saying that's more of a private matter,
yeah,
and not something to be
let him come out on, you know what I mean? Let him do his thing on his own. That's how I wanted it. I mean, I didn't come out until I was ready to. I didn't, I would get mad sometimes. My mother would say things, but let me come out when I'm ready.
And what if Zaya says, I'm ready? There are people that feel like they can't live within their truth, and I am someone that's doing that, and my parents are supporting me. So for the people that may feel like they can't live within that, or having a problem within their identity, or like a struggle, what if Zaya says that she's ready at 12? I think she's 12. What then if she feels she's ready?
No. They might not all developed, you know what I mean? Like, we're like 25 years old when our brain really develops all the way, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, no. You might think we all think we was gonna marry the first boy we was in love with, you know what I mean? So it's just, no.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah, last question before we...
switch up and go to the other folks. Do you feel that LGBTQ issues have impacted the Black community, and if so, how?
I feel that that movement is really not for the Black people. To be honest, I think that's more to protect them. And I mean, as white people, no offense, but I feel like it's more laws and bills. She said no offense, like I was white.
You are no longer invited to the cookout, Robert.
Like I was the white
guy. No offense, but we do have all type of viewers, so I don't want anybody to come off offended. And like y'all said, we got to respect everybody.
Right.
So I just feel like that is made for them, because back then, like, that wasn't really big. Like, but now it's big. So now it's a movement to protect them. Like, I feel like nowadays, like I've said before, like, a person can walk around and call a person an N-word and still walk everywhere comfortably, go to Planet Fitness comfortably and everything. But if you say anything or you disagree with the whole movement or just some of the beliefs that they have, because I mean, I have my pros and cons with them. So I mean, but it's just like, if you say one thing, they'll be ready to end your career.
Yeah.
They'll call you homophobic, and they don't even know. Like I said, most people that come off and say that, they don't even know that I'm bi. So it's like,
and it's
you're judging.
It's interesting because you're that's a really good point. Like, you could somebody could say the N-word and still keep their job on TV.
Definitely.
Right? But if you say anything where you disagree with the LGBTQ community, then it's like a wave of people coming at you, basically trying to end your career, right? And it's like you become who you're trying to stop. Right, so if we're trying to stop bigots and stop racism and stop discrimination, if we're trying to stop all of that, then we have to come to the table and have dialogue. You can't just force your opinion or force your way onto somebody and say, believe this, be okay with this, this is what you're going to do, and then they end up fighting back, right? Instead of anybody coming together and actually having a conversation. So
Anna, you're saying that The question was, do you feel LGBTQ issues have impacted the black community? You're saying like, no, you feel that movement was to benefit others, not including the black community.
No, if you think about that, oh my God, I wish I would have remembered his name. The guy that just got caught for like bringing black gay guys back to his apartment, and he was drugging them and killing them and strangling them to death. He was like, I'm trying to think of his name, but I feel like they didn't step in then. They didn't step in. Yeah. That movement didn't step in. Okay. And I feel like if it's all lives matter and you guys care, that is about, that, then that should have been something they should have stepped up for, because he did this to at least 5-6 victims.
Wow.
And that's important to bring up. I appreciate Ed Buck.
That was his name. He was a political figure. And a lot and when you think about it, he got away with it. I'm not saying it like that, but he got away with it because of he's political. He's high up. They look the other way when it comes to the higher up the more higher you're up, the more they look away. And I think that's what happened. And I feel like especially in that situation, this happened recently and nobody's speaking up about it. Nobody's marching about it. Nobody's talking about that. Like, that's something. And I think that movement's more to protect the others.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your opinion. I feel like that's a supremely vulnerable space, and we appreciate that, and you being willing to come and chat with us. Yeah. We have to get ready for our second interview, but we are going to bring Anna right back. But before I go, I wanted to let you know about some resources that are available. There is a Queer Communities Color Coalition, and they are a group of folks that get together that are advocates of the queer community. And if you are looking for some advocacy groups or some community or something, I'm not sure, but you want to check in with them and just understand that community better, or if you're looking for others within the community, a phone number is 515-242-5655. The state of Iowa, gosh darn it, I Googled it before and now I'm messing it up. Humanrights.iowa.gov has information on that. We are going to have one of the founders of the Communities of Color Coalition joining us very soon. And then NAACP, there is a Des Moines chapter here. If you go to NAACPDesMoines.com, you can connect with them. And also, if you are having some challenges with the topics that we're talking about today within yourself, and you find yourself losing hope or passion or inspiration, we don't want you to feel like that.
Correct.
We want you to know that this is a family meeting, and family does not give up on each other, and we do not exclude or set anyone in the family aside. And so if you need some help, or maybe you don't even know that you need help, and that's okay, but if you just want to talk to somebody about trying to find more hope and more light within your life, we want you to call some of our friends at 1-800-273-8255. So if you are looking for assistance and you just feel really down and you don't really know, if you don't see hope in navigating the struggle of gender identity and racial identity, and you're not seeing a light, we want to help offer that light for you. So that is a suicide prevention number that is very serious, and we do not take that lightly. 1-800-273-8255.
That is absolutely. You all are tuned in to the Urban Impact Show. We are super excited to continue this conversation. This isn't it, by the way. This conversation will go past 5. We just want everybody to know. Hang in with us. This is desperately needed in our community, and we appreciate you all for being some of our viewers. You're tuned into the Urban Impact Show. I'm your boy Rob Johnson.
I'm Shekinah Young, and we'll be back in 60 seconds.
If we're not back, it's her fault. Yo, welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. I am Rob Johnson, one of your, I'm the host, just for the
on a Sunday. LOVE ...
Just a lion.
It's cool.
But no, welcome to the Urban Impact Show. First of all, we want to say thank you all for tuning in for our family discussion. I like the way you put that. So Shekinah and I decided that this was an opportunity for us to have a conversation about LGBTQ and the Black community, and we got some people in the studio that's going to talk about this. That's going to address some of this, and this isn't for, again, we want to lay out those ground rules. This isn't for people to feel one way or the other. This isn't for people to be disrespectful. This is for us to have a open conversation, an open dialogue. It's an opportunity for us to learn, for us to be educated, and so that's what we're here for. Wouldn't you agree, Shekinah?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times when conversations don't happen, what kind of spurred this is me and Rob and one of our managers went to lunch.
Correct.
And we were talking about what was going on with D. Wade in the news and media, what we had heard. And I had seen a couple of things on social media where people were outing people. So they were found, I don't know whether they were involved in activities or just messing around, but with same-sex people. And then there were photos taken, and those photos were spread all around Facebook. And there was just the comments about that, and that happened at all. And then there was another situation that was fatal. And so I really care about community, and I really care about us. And I feel like it's time for us to have a family conversation about this. I feel like we don't have these conversations, and we want to make sure we have an environment that's productive, that opinions are respected, but at the same time that's thought-provoking. And so if anybody encounters a situation like that, if you get some photos of somebody minding their business, then you would do the same and mind your business and not share those photos. Mm-hmm. Or you would not just treat people the way that you would want to be treated. And I think we should talk about that. Yeah. And so,
Shekinah, will you introduce our guests?
Absolutely. So we have Buffy. Buffy is with, okay, y'all, this is my test. I'm going to get it right. The Iowa Queer Communities of Color Coalition.
Yes.
Yes. Boom. 1 point for me. Thank you. And then to Buffy's left, we have Goddess, who we became fast friends. We've met 30 years ago. Shout out to One Iowa hooking me up with Buffy and Goddess's contact info, and they're willing to come and chat with us and just have this conversation that is needed. We also have Coco Chanel. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Coco Chanel, who is, would you say, an entertainer?
Yes.
Yes, Coco Chanel.
Yeah, she does
is
way more
musically
than rap. She be up there doing choreographed dances and all type of stuff. I be watching the video like, when did she learn all of this? And when did she get this? Like, where did this come from? I've been knowing her since since Union Baptist.
This is why we do not run on a tight schedule, because my other co-host likes to run
also,
into
you try to
Neverland.
accuse me of being the reason why we didn't come back in 60 seconds?
Yes, because I was trying to bring us back in 60 seconds. We have rules. We want to respect everybody's opinion. We want to know how everyone would like to be referred to, and we will try to do that. When we slip up, please feel free to let us know. And what was our third rule, Rob? Respect
and intellectual conversations.
Intellectual conversations.
Let's dive in it. Let's jump.
We mentioned that pronouns that I go by are she, her, hers. I've never even had to think about that or talk about that before, but that's important today. Buffy.
Yeah, so my pronouns are either she, her, hers, or they, them, theirs.
Got it. Goddess?
Yes, my pronouns are they, them, their.
My pronouns are she, her, hers, them, their.
And we're going to move on to our first question. So, if each of you could introduce yourself and help us understand what has informed your opinion on today's topic. Like, what about your past has informed your opinion on today's topic?
Let's start with Goddess.
Okay.
Since she's like in the middle, and then we'll jump, since they are in the middle of these two. Let's start with...
of these two.
Yeah.
Not even... Okay.
Yes.
Good job. Go ahead, co-host.
Okay, so I can answer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I grew up on the east side of Des Moines, and I came out to my friends in college, and then completely to my entire loved ones a couple months ago, actually. So that's informed it's been a huge influence is my own journey with this. Also working with other people who are in the queer community or in any type of BIPOC community, anybody who's marginalized. I feel like this isn't just like a black and white issue. There's so much intersectionality, and we have to start coming together on this and start to see those lines. I'm also the founder of Sunseed Community, so yeah.
And Goddess, what is intersectionality? Break that down real quick.
Ooh.
I mean,
I feel like Buffy would do it better, but
if we want to do it later, we can.
Okay, so Buffy, can you jump in like after?
Sure.
Go.
So, intersectionality is the term that was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. It is the acknowledgement and the examination of how multiple group identities, both marginalized and privileged, shape individual realities. So, for example, if there was another Buffy sitting next to me right now, say we were in an auditorium full of people and we were talking about physics, okay? I'm the Buffy with the master's degree, the other Buffy does not have a master's degree. Who would be most likely to get the biggest amount of questions and to be paid the most attention to? Me with the master's degree or Buffy without?
Buffy with.
Buffy with. Why is that?
Perception,
right? And I want you to understand, if I am ever talking to any of you about physics, I have no clue what I'm talking about. I am making it up as I go along. However, the other Buffy might be studying it right now. Mm-hmm. But that master's degree is that point of privilege that makes people give me the benefit of the doubt whether I deserve it or not. And that is what privilege is. It is access, whether you deserve that access or not. So that bit of complexity there, that is intersectionality.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that, with intersectionality, you can start to see where people and issues start to fall through the cracks, because that's where the in-betweens are. I'm not just black, I'm also queer. And usually when we have these conversations, one has to be checked at the door. And I think why we're here is we refuse to do that anymore.
So intersectionality in layman's terms is when you check more than one box of an underrepresented group.
Exactly.
Bam.
Wow,
we're here.
Easy.
Come, family. See? Family meeting. Solo.
Yes. So, I came out to some people my junior year of high school. I was really involved with Movement 515, and I was taking the urban leadership class, and it became a conversation because that's one of the units that we have to cover is LGBTQ. So it became a conversation of what it is, how it's a marginalized community, how different people suffer from it. We talked about intersectionality as well. I came out to other people, college, when I went to college, and then I recently, fully came out last summer. So I identify as just a queer woman. Doesn't necessarily mean I like the same sex or anything. It just means that I do not feel as if I am a heterosexual woman who just likes women. So I'm a cis queer black woman.
We got a lot of vocabulary words in the studio right now, but we are going to try to understand those, and if there are questions, then drop those in the comment section.
So cis just means that you identify as the gender or sex that you were born.
Okay.
So I was born a woman, so I identify as being a woman.
Okay. I felt like you had something to say. Next question.
Have we gone?
I guess she told us how she best informs her opinion. Second question.
Yes. All right, let's jump in this, because I feel like there, in the black community, there you have this section, and it always seems like everybody's going at it on Facebook or at it on Twitter, right? It's like you have this group who would identify as gay, right? As these gay males, and they're like, no, this is us, this is who we are, respect us, this is what's going on. Then you have this other group who was like, no, we're not rocking with that. We don't agree with it, we don't think it's right. And so I think this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable for most people, right? Most people are like, no, I'm out of this one. I can't, it gets a little too deep. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to dive right into this conversation, have these conversations. So D-Wade
Yes.
says that his son now wants to be identified as female, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And so you had a lot of people online discussing this and talking about, no, I don't think that's right. He's 12 years old. And so I want to kind of throw it to you three and let you three respond on kind of your reaction, how you feel about it. What do you think people, the major thing I think is what do you think people can learn from this, or what do you think people should grab from this? And I'm either one, jump in.
Well, we may want to start with your thoughts on it, and then, like in the next, we'll touch on what do you think people can learn.
So, using people's correct pronouns is a practice. We do not have the right to tell anyone what their pronouns are or how they identify. That would be like someone coming up to you and being like, you're not Rob. You're now, I don't know, Jason, and always calling you Jason. That would erase you, right? You would feel like they're not seeing you. So we need to make it a practice if we're going to have this conversation of using Zaya's correct pronouns. Her pronouns, she, her, hers. Yeah. That just needs to be on the table. I'll jump into someone else because I got more to say. But
so thoughts on D Wade's public support of Zaya's gender identity.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, and I love that he and Gabrielle are supporting their child no matter what. Quite frankly, like when it comes to these issues, if you try to take it the other way, if you try to take it to, no, you know what, you're not old enough, you're not this, you're not that, you need to just do this, you need to keep going by the name that we gave you, you need to put on the clothes that we buy you, you need to do this and that. That is the fast track to no longer having your child on this earth. Yeah. Period. Transgender youth have an extremely high rate of suicide, and it is because our society likes to pretend as though they don't exist. And when they are bullied, when they are assaulted, when they are not able to access resources, everyone's just like, well, you should have just, did what we told you to do. If you weren't like that, it wouldn't be a problem. No, society is the problem. We are the problem when we turn around and we're like, no, you're not allowed to be who you are. I don't believe you when you say you are who you are.
I totally agree. I actually did a little bit of research on transgender and LGBTQ teens and women. So a fact about like transgender women or transgender non-conforming gender black women is that in 2019 there were 26 violent deaths of them. Also, suicide is the second leading death among youth and young adult between the ages of 10 and 24. Mm-hmm. So I believe as a community and as a society, when we see a situation as D. Wade's, it's important to talk about the facts and talk about the statistics of the youth, because we also, youth sometimes gets overlooked. As a young person, I'm only 22. So, as a young adult, I still struggle with finding my voice in certain places and being able to use my voice in certain places, because intersectionality is not accepted everywhere. And also, D. Wade isn't the perfect parent, he also said that he didn't understand it at first and that he had to learn it. So I feel as if everybody just tries to have more so of an open mind and try to understand intersectionality and understand youth and understand black youth, it'll be easier to have a conversation about.
And to jump off what you're saying about it bringing it back to the youth, what I've heard in a lot of the responses to this is D. Wade, D. Wade, D. Wade. First of all, there's another parent here, and it's a whole family, and this is Zaya's life. We're taking away the agency of the child when we only talk about this cis black male man and his family. It's not just his family. There's other black bodies that are on the line. So from the point of Zaya did her research. She really looked into this. This is an amazing moment of a child using their voice to profess who they truly are. And I think that's powerful. So if we look at it from the vantage point of parents who are trying to teach their children, especially black children, we are constantly told that we are not enough. So to give your child a platform for them to explore their gender, their sexuality, all of who they are, that's empowering. You are then creating a child that will grow up to be an adult who can be a whole person. That's very powerful. And so a lot of these conversations are taking out the child. They're only looking at D Wade, and he's a cool dude. I don't know much about him. I don't watch basketball, but like, I think that needs to be noticed, and we need to talk more about Zaya.
Right. And to that point, when we're talking about youth and when we're talking about kids, something that we don't recognize all the time is that being a child, that's a marginalized identity. And I really want everyone to think about that. They barely have any access to any rights, okay? They don't have the opportunity to really advocate for themselves unless they're given permission a lot of the time, or they sneak out. Abuse rates for children are extremely high because they're so vulnerable and because they're not given all of the tools that anybody else would be given. And it goes on and on and on. If you look at it, you can see disparities between adults and children when it comes to a lot of different things. So it's super important to understand that when you as an adult are negating what someone has to say because of their age, you're being a bigot, quite frankly. I mean, that's the only way to put it. And going back to what Zaya had to say for herself, that was brilliant. I mean, her speech, what she had to say, and it was just off the cuff. It looked like it was just off the cuff. And for her to already have that voice at such a young age, like, that is what the conversation should be about. How do we, do
more of that.
Yeah,
for all of us.
Make sure that all of our black kids are able to feel as though they can use their voice that way and to say what's on their mind and to say their own philosophies for life. Yeah. She was talking about philosophy.
Yeah, most definitely.
And her parents listened. You know what it's like to not be able to talk to your parents? Yeah. Like, wouldn't you want your child to be able to...
Third question. Okay. Do you feel that LGBTQ issues have impacted the black community, and if so, how? Who would like to start?
Can you impacted you said LGBTQ issues impacted the black community? Like, can you kind of explain that?
Do you feel that things that the LGBT community has been advocating for, progress made, has there been any impact? I want to use a different word. I don't want to repeat the same words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Has it benefited?
Yeah.
Has it hurt?
Yeah.
Well. Yeah, here's the thing. When we're talking about this, and again, it's almost as though we're separating the two groups out. I am a queer, black, non-binary person. Black is in there. Okay? So there have always been queer black people standing up for black issues and for black rights while fighting for queer issues, while fighting for feminist issues. You can go on, and I can name a bunch. Angela Davis.
Write these down, y'all.
Right. Bayard Rustin, who organized the March on Washington. Martin Luther King looked over at him and told him, one day your day will come. That's not something we talk about all the time. We like to erase that.
James Baldwin was queer. My mom was shocked. She was like, James Baldwin? I was like,
yes, James Baldwin. The leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh, queer.
Hello. Like, we have always been a part of this fight. And I've always been leading the charge. And I've always been the people on the front lines putting their lives down. And I mean, you can look up any number of lists and you'll learn all throughout history who has been involved in all of these different movements. Audre Lorde, another huge one, major feminist.
So what I hear you saying is, yes, that LGBTQ issues or advancements of those issues, they've been partnered. They don't necessarily have to be separate. There have been people that belong to the queer community that have been advocating for things that specifically impact the Black community solely,
right.
or
I feel like that's where intersectionality like really comes to play.
Yes.
Because I was recently literally just having this conversation with a friend of mine, and I was explaining to them that you cannot separate the two, because then that is when you are putting Black people in the category to be what we call double oppressed or oppressed in more than one way, or marginalized in one way, when that is what their identity is made up of, is all of these intersectionalities, if that makes sense.
So let me ask this. When we get to a place where it's like somebody's like, listen, I truly do not understand, right? I truly do not get why this is happening. And somebody may even say, as we've seen on Facebook, why does it seem like it's being pushed more on African American boys than any other culture or any other ethnic group in the country, right? And so I mean, we've seen the comments of like there is an agenda, like there is something happening. Shannon, you okay?
It's hot in here.
It is a little toasty.
It felt so good though.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm fanning.
Yeah, and so how does someone who's like, okay, I truly don't get this. I'm not on one side or the other. And it's like, but you have it seems to be these two groups who are sometimes Black and identify as LGBTQ, or you have this group of Black who's like, nah, that's not gonna work for us, right? And it's like, how do we get a conversation where people like this, where people can say, hey, look, I may disagree with this, and I may not, like, I hear what you're saying, but this is a woman and that's a man, period. Like, that's how it was, that's how it is. Like, how do we have these conversations where we begin to open this up, where we begin to say, hey, look, you know, like let's dive a little bit more deeper.
I think that's a good place to pause.
Uh-oh.
So that we can take, yes, and a 90-second break. It shouldn't be that long. I hope it may not be 90. Help me.
So we don't.
But I think what's an important part to mention is you are tuned into the Urban Impact Show. We're talking about LGBTQ and the Black community. There is no secret in this family meeting that this is not something that is talked about often. Correct. And we are seeing
get a little heated.
Some very ugly sides of this, and this is not how families should act or how we should rock with each other. And so we're trying to create an environment of a civilized conversation of how we can both learn from each other and move forward and create a better community for all of us.
Yes.
We have a couple of resources for you. If you are looking for community, we have the Iowa Queer Communities of Color Coalition. Right. Iowa Queer Communities of Color Coalition. If you're looking for community, or you want to chat, or you want to learn, or I don't know, the Iowa Queer Communities of Color is here for you. And you can contact them at Hello IQC3. Hello IQC3.
Yes.
Hello, Iowa Queer Communities of Color. Hello IQC3 at gmail.com. Hello IQC3 at gmail.com. That's Iowa Queer Communities of Color. If you are looking to get in contact with NAACP, you can find them at NAACPDesMoines.com. And if you are having some challenges with gender, identity, LGBTQ stuff, or just trying to figure things out within life, and you are challenged to find hope or progress, and you feel like there is not a lot of that, and you doubt whether or not you have a valued place on this earth, we would like for you to talk to some of our friends. So we have some friends that we would like you to call, and they're 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. That is a suicide prevention line. That is not something that we take lightly, and we want you to have all the resources that you need. This is the Urban Impact Show, and we will be right back.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. I'm one of your hosts, Rob Johnson.
I'm your favorite host, Shekinah, yeah. And I'm hot. My edges, y'all.
Mine too.
He ain't got no edges. Bless it. But we are having a family meeting today. Family meeting. We are talking about LGBTQ issues in the black community. We have the most amount of guests that we've ever had on the Urban Impact Show, and we are very flexible people in making it work. You know how you family and you have like a sleepover at your cousin's house, and it be like 17 of y'all in the bed. That's what we doing right now, y'all. All 17 of us is in one bed.
This is good.
Because we got some stuff that we need to talk about. We have things going on within our community, and we feel like they need to be addressed.
They absolutely need to be addressed. Kind of, you and I as friends, we have this conversation, right? In private. Like, you and I have these types of talks, and like, that's cool. But the purpose of the show is to open up this dialogue to a broader base, which is our audience.
Yes.
To have better types of these type of conversations instead of the back and forth stuff like I just got done talking about on Facebook. Instead of these Twitter wars that we find ourselves in, where one side is insulting the other side instead of us learning from each other, or instead of us growing, or instead of us just being like, you know what, I disagree. Okay, like, let's move on. Right. I think that's where we gotta get to, instead of doing this thing where we're literally trying to counsel each other while we're trying to destroy each other. I think we gotta get to a place where we gotta do better. Right,
and avoiding things because they're uncomfortable is not the way to go. We always want to grow and be better and further impact our community. We have had a great history, and we can do some things better, and so we want to be all about that progression of the people.
Yeah, so right before the break, we threw out some questions, and we're going to let y'all kind of take it from there.
You want to remember? Do y'all remember the question?
Oh, she's like, yeah.
God has been ready since been ready.
I've been holding my answer.
Ready. Does everybody remember the question, or do we want to? Oh, and P.S. for the viewers, we've brought everybody back. So, our initial impetus for the conversation was D Wade and his support of his daughter Zaya, and how that had generated lots of comments within the black community of whether people agreed or disagreed with that support.
It was his son that wanted to identify as a woman.
And then we supposed to talk about our rules today.
His daughter as a girl.
Thank you.
His daughter.
So let's restate our rules.
Okay, it's pronoun practice. It's cool.
We're restating
pronoun
them.
Practice.
If you want to practice.
Let's go back and introduce everybody, because people who just may have tuned into the show, we're going to start off that end of the table. What's your name?
I'm Anna.
Anna. What's up, Anna?
Hola.
Welcome to the Urban Impact Show.
Hola. I'm Coco Chanel.
Coco Chanel.
I'm Goddess, they, them, their pronouns.
Goddess.
I'm Buffy, she, her, hers, or they, them, theirs.
And of course, Shekinah and Robbie are hosts for the show.
Yes. So, let's jump back in it.
Question.
Yeah.
Goddess has a response for us. She's been waiting. They've been waiting.
They've been waiting. It's all right. It's a practice.
They've been waiting.
Thank you for trying. Okay, so to start with, this is how the conversation happens, is by being open to asking it in the first place, and to not come into it with this is how it's been, this is how it should always be. Gender is actually a social construct. We didn't always have just male, female, woman, man. And then also, I think people need to educate themselves. I've heard so many comments about, don't cut his dick off. First of all, sorry, pardon me.
Sorry, producer.
Can we
say that?
Don't cut the sexual organs off. So here we go. First of all, you cannot have gender affirming surgery until you are 18. You can get hormone blockers at this age, but if you educate yourself, I think you'll start to realize that this is not just a split-second decision. This takes time, this takes research, this takes diligence and advocacy for yourself. So education, curiosity, and being willing to ask questions, and being willing to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think in addition to that, going back to the gender of affirmation surgery, I just want to make sure that people understand nothing's being cut off. That's not how it works. There are a ton of different resources online. I'm not going to get into it now. And the reason why I'm not going to get into what exactly happens in surgery is because whenever we bring up transgender people, first and foremost, the conversation always has to go to their genitalia. Yeah. I mean, Shekinah, if I walked in here right now and I looked at you and I was like, so what you got going on down there? That would be creepy, right? Like, do that. But that is what people do to transgender people all the time with their creepy selves. Like, so don't do that. Like, we need to stop. Whenever we have these conversations, thinking about what's going on in people's pants. Dang.
Anna, what you think?
Okay, I think that the people that are against it, I think half of them really just don't understand, like, all the how you break everything down. Like, me coming up, I knew there was bi, there was gay, there was lesbian. I know about transgenders, I know about queers, but it's like you got all the extra stuff, like, to me, and that confuses me, because now I'm like, okay, well, what do...
It's like LGBTQ.
Yeah, and that's something that I think that I have a problem with understanding. It's like, okay, well, what am I... So what do I identify? I like women and I like men, so what would I be? I'm asking.
Well, you're saying
whatever you want to be, Anna.
As a woman, you know what I mean? I identify as a woman and I like men and I like women. But then, like, so that makes me bi, right?
Or queer.
Or queer.
That's
But that's what I'm not understanding, though. But that's what, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm not... So I can identify to what I want to identify as, and I'm a woman, and I'm just, so a lesbian is a woman that likes women. A bi is a person that likes both. So, like, the extra stuff.
There's more, it's more nuanced
like,
than that.
Right. You know what I mean?
And I understand there's, like, a whole new lexicon that you have now at your arsenal to, like, use and define yourself.
I love y'all's movement, but every year y'all come out with a new letter, and I'm tired of y'all. I just want you, we trying to figure out the first one. We're trying to study the real one, and I think that's what it is. I think we need to have that open conversation, because the more we, how can we say, we disregard what we're ignorant to. You understand? So if we don't know nothing, then we're gonna judge it, or we're gonna automatically rebel it. Yeah. And I honestly, like I said, I'm a bisexual woman, and like I'm just like, how would I identify? Like, I'm cool with identifying, but it's like when it comes to the extra stuff, the he, she's, and like, you know what I mean? How you the pronouns and stuff. Like, how does that work?
So
your pronoun is
they, them, their. So your gender and your sexuality are two different things, and I think you just define yourself right there. As long as that's where you feel comfortable, it feels right in your soul, honey, keep on doing it. But yeah, like, it's okay to ask questions.
What is a pansexual? I want to just ask that.
So I'm pansexual.
Okay.
So am I.
Yeah.
All right. So
and my definition might be completely different than Buffy's.
Yeah.
But I that word feels right to me.
So how does somebody, like in order to not offend, right? Your definition is different from hers, but how would we even know that? How would somebody even, if I saw you and if I met you, I would say ma'am or her or something like that, or oh, I seen her, or I wouldn't necessarily, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't say, oh, they or they.
Right.
Don't assume, just ask.
Right, and it's just like our name.
Am
like,
I going to ask everybody?
Yeah.
If we start practicing the way that we should in order to be more inclusive and make sure that we are not disrespecting anybody, yeah, honestly. So when I've done these trainings or talked about this for a long time. My experience in advocacy spans 9 years. I have my master's degree in higher education, and this is the reason why I got into it. How to explain these different things to people. So honestly, when it comes to the pronouns, when it comes to, how you greet someone, all of these things are just practices, right? We practiced it when we were kids. When your mama was like, see, look at daddy, wave to daddy. That's how you say hi. It's pretty much the same thing. You're just retraining your mind to have these automatic responses. So it's about changing your habits. So hi. Like, if I wanted to walk into this room right now, the way that I would walk in, I'd say, hi, my name is Buffy Jameson. My pronouns are she, her, hers, or they, them, theirs. Hello, what's your name and what are your pronouns?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I would recommend just use your own pronouns. Like, let your pronouns be known, because sometimes by asking, you might be causing maybe outing or that someone's not ready to do. So as long as you're setting the tone, like I still support that, but I also know like where I can ask people what your pronouns are and where I cannot.
I think it's important for people to know or understand that this is something that we're all trying to work through.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And people, like, grace is a real thing.
Oh.
And giving yourself an opportunity to it's all about respect, how people feel respected, right? And you want to respect them whether you agree or not. How you voted on gay marriage does not matter, right? It's all about just wanting to respect the other person. And so giving yourself grace, understanding that just because you may or may not belong to a queer community doesn't mean you come with the lexicon downloaded, doesn't mean that you may always identify yourself appropriately. We laughed about that yesterday. I had coffee and I was like, girl, wait a minute, are you cool with that? Okay, so I don't, okay, so we figured it out, but just that grace is real. Shut it. So I think that's important to know. And like Anna mentioned, sometimes when you don't know about something or a topic, then you shy away from that. And I don't think that we should shy away from these kind of things. Coco Chanel mentioned asking questions when you don't know, and that's really important to do and think of and keep in mind whether you agree or not with Dwayne Wade's decision and how he's parenting.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that people are safe, right? And so as we wrap this show up, as we get ready to close this out, I definitely, I said from the beginning, I think out of everybody here, I think I'm the one who needs to probably learn the most, because I'm just like, all right, so, because I asked the question in my mind of like, well, what's wrong with me saying that his son wanted to identify as a woman,
because
right?
that's
and so it's like now that's his daughter, right? That's D Wade's daughter, and so the fact of it is that he had a son who now identifies as his daughter.
He has a daughter.
So here's another way of putting it, okay? D. Ray and Gabrielle had a child that was assigned male at birth. We now know that that is incorrect. That person does not identify as a sex that they were assigned at birth. So this is a trans girl. I know that learning how to do that takes time. It took me time. Like I didn't get here. I wasn't born knowing all of this, and I am a part of the community. I have misgendered myself in the past, and I've had to step back like, wait, what did I just say? Did I just call myself a woman when I know that that's not even okay, whatever. It's a process. It just takes time, and you do not have to be perfect every single time. Mm-hmm. Most people are not going to jump at you and go, how dare you? That is not how I identify. We had this conversation, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to do all of that. If you are trying, people see that you're trying. They're not going to come down on you. So again, it's really just about that practice. It's really just about that self-reflection, and it's about education.
Last question for everybody. If you could answer in like 20 seconds, that'd be great.
We can go down.
What can you learn by having a conversation with someone holding a different view? Now, when I say you can take that personally or you can take that generally. But what can you learn by having that kind of conversation? Buffy, you want to go first?
Sure. First of all, you can learn how to have that conversation. So there is a activity that I challenge everybody to try. You choose a subject, doesn't matter what the subject is, and you sit down with another person. They take one side of that, of that conversation, and you take the other side. And what you do is, for 1 minute, you let that other person talk. You do not say anything, and you are going to repeat what they say back to them. And you don't start off by saying, that was really messed up what you said, but I'm going to go ahead and repeat you anyway. No. You just repeat back what they said and summarize it to make sure that you understood, and then you flip. That's a good opportunity to practice having these conversations.
Cool.
I'm actually just really happy that we're having this conversation now. Having a family meeting with fellow Black people about things that are near and dear to my soul is very important. So I'm appreciative that we can ask these questions and be open. What I'm going to take away from this is that there's still more work to do. Yeah.
I believe it's just always understanding that like people come from different perspectives and different backgrounds of life. So it's just trying to like keep an open mind and, like I said, ask and don't assume.
Oh, me. Listen with an open heart, an open mind, and listen to comprehend. Because a person can talk all day, but if you're not understanding it, then you're not comprehending it well. I just really wish that everybody would just understand that we all human. We should just respect each other like human, whatever we prefer, in front or behind closed doors. So that's my whole thing.
I also think you shouldn't disregard your child. I think you should listen to them. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions of this whole entire controversy, or whatever you want to call it, is that we're not listening to our Black children.
So if you're looking for resources, we are just all over the place. This did not. I had a plan and Robert derailed my plan. So we'll talk about that later. But if you're looking for resources, there are resources for you. At the end of our family meeting, you all wake up and you take a bath, and all 15 of y'all get in the same tub, and you put that out, and they give you food and water, and you run outside and play. In the 80s is what we did, but nowadays go to the video game. But in real life, family conversation about very real needed things. We need to have open dialogue about things that we are uncomfortable about, and challenge ourselves to be intentional. When you have family, you treat family a certain way. And it is our wish at the Urban Impact Show that family is treated that way. Regardless of if you agree with your family, if your family is Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Jehovah's Witness, and they don't vote, it does not matter. At the end of the day, all of this is about civility, right? So how can you coexist with someone else who you may or may not agree with, you may or may not understand? None of that matters. It's all about respect of that person. If you are a member of the queer community or just wanting to get more information or involved or learn more, there is the Iowa Queer Communities of Color Coalition. Yes. Perfect. That you can reach out to. You can email them. They're also on social media, but you can email them at helloiqc3@gmail.com if you're looking for resources around the Black community, or you want to get more engaged or learn more. NAACPDesMoines.com. Or if you have some challenges and you are struggling with some things and you do not see a lot of hope or optimism in tomorrow or the value that you bring to this earth or the people around you, we want you to call some of our friends at 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. Robert?
I'm just glad that we did this. I think this conversation, strayed away sometimes, and I think people run from it because they're fearful of what somebody's response will be. So shouts out to you.
Yes.
Shekinah, for this was really your idea to kind of have this conversation and bring this forward. And our executive producer, Mr. Howard Dixon, our manager, Will Sims, Tennille Thomas, and Nicole Hoskins. Shouts out to the whole team. And thank you to our guests for not being afraid to come and speak your truth, say what you feel, to help educate, to help inform.
And to learn.
And to learn from other sides.
Hopefully everybody can learn something from each other and accumulate and conversation.
And instead of attacking each other, we learned how to have an open conversation and I see it, I don't see it. Let's figure out where we can come to an understanding. Okay. You've been tuned into the Urban Impact Show. Next week, man, we're not gonna have this many people in the studio next week.
Do you promise? He's on the record, people.
Yeah, no.
Got my edges sweating out. Yeah. The Urban Impact Show gonna get
mine. It's gone because of this.
Still press on up in here. Woo.
No, for real, we appreciate our viewers. Thank you all for watching. You're the reason why we do this. We want to bring information to you. Please like, share, comment, figure out how to help support the Urban Impact Show.
Bueno.
We out.